If you just arrived, welcome, welcome. If you just arrived, have a candle. You don't need to light it yet. If you want something to drink, to sip, to get cozy whilst we sit together for an hour or so, you can have that. If you have pen and paper, that will be useful at some point. And I'll just take a moment to set up our group field. Maybe before I set up the group field, I'll just lay out why we're here. This is an introduction and a taster session of a larger online immersion that will begin on October 19th, which will be, it's called This Holy Life. It will be an apprenticeship in devotion. It will be an apprenticeship in mysticism, and it will be a deep immersion that is really about a commitment and a recommitment to yoke ourselves to the sacred, and the sort of a recommitment of the vows to get close to the sacred and to get close to divinity as it lives inside of us, as it shows up as every aspect of our life. And this journey will be 40 days. It will be over 10 sessions, and this will be an introduction to that and a taster of what that, a very small sliver of what that journey will encompass. And we'll do some practices together. I will talk a little bit. We will practice together. We will get into our bodies. We might pray, and I'll speak a bit about what that means. More than anything, we will drop into an attuned presence together as much as we can. But that is the invitation. And I'll set up our group field now. If you want to be a part of that field, it is just an inner attitude of saying yes. And I'll set that group field up in the tradition of vortex healing. And if you don't wish to be a part of that field, it's not going to happen without your consent. And so as I set that field up, there's nothing you need to do except there can be an inner orientation of saying yes. You can drop more deeply into your breath. You don't need to close your eyes, but if your eyes are open, they can just be very, very soft. And there can be just a sense of leaning back into a field of support. And that is not something that I'm creating. I'm just asking of the divine, of the sacred, to create that for us. And you can just let yourself rest in, as if you're just allowing yourself to be held and supported and contained by the web of life, which is already doing all of these things, holding you, containing you, supporting you. And so in a way, this is already happening, but I'm just amplifying that in the group field of us. And making it more felt. Let me pin my video also whilst I'm setting this up. Let yourself melt more deeply into your breath. Let your breath melt you. And have a sense that you can just lean back into this invisible support behind you. And that you can take a deeper seat inside yourself. And allow every exhale to drop you deeper into that place. Allow every exhale to drop you deeper into a sense of your own presence, your sense of the depth of your aliveness. And I'm asking for divinity to just press up against us to make itself even more felt in us, around us, as if divinity can just hug into us in a way. And in order to tune our currents even more together, we'll do a sort of a ritual gesture with breath together. And in that movement, we'll breathe and use our arms together. As you inhale, you can bring your arms overhead. And I'm holding my hands in prayer hands over my head. And as you exhale, you can bring your hands down into the root of your heart. As you inhale, swell up that space. And when you hold your hands in this, your hands can have some space in between your palms so that your palms are not pressed together. You can have some space in between your hands. Inhale again to swell that up. And as you exhale, spin your hands and open your hands as you imagine pouring that energy down into the earth. And we'll repeat that. Inhale, arms overhead into prayer hands. As you exhale, draw your hands down into the root of your heart. Inhale, swell it up. Exhale, spin your hands and pour that energy out through your palms down towards the earth, all the way down to the ground. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale, your arms wide and overhead. Exhale, draw that energy down into the root of your heart. Inhale, use your breath to swell it up. Exhale, spin your hands to pour that energy out and down into the ground, into the earth. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, draw those prayer hands down into the root of your heart. Inhale, swell it up. Exhale, pour it out into the ground. Do that a few more times on your own breath. And so through our gestures, through our breath, through this way of sealing our presence with a gesture, we're also just syncing our currents together. And I should say here also that for those who are tuning into the recording, of which there will be many of you tuning into the recording, that group field and that vortex grid that I set up, that will also include all of you who are tuning in from the future, so to say. Because from the perspective and of the divine, there is no past, present, and future. It is all just happening at once, even though that is obviously not my experience. It probably might not be your experience as your default experience. But everyone who is doing these gestures with us are all tuning into that one and the same field. We'll do it one more time, but now we'll add words to this gesture. So as you inhale your arms overhead, you can say inside, inwardly, or you can say it out. I open myself to the highest. As you exhale, you say, I draw that power into the root of my heart. As you inhale, you can say, I let it fill everything that I am through all the dimensions. As you exhale, you can say, and I make it all an offering, pouring it back down into the earth. I open myself to the highest. I draw that power into the root of my heart. I let it fill everything that I am through all the dimensions. And I make it all an offering, pouring it back down into the earth. One last time. I open myself to the highest. I draw that power into the root of my heart. I let it fill everything that I am through all the dimensions. And I make it all an offering, pouring it back down into the earth. And you can let that gesture go and come back into the space that you're in, the room that you're in, the field that we're in together, as we are more synced up, I would say, in a field that is more prayerful, in a field that is more prayerful. And I want to make a suggestion now. If you have a candle, for those of you who have a candle, you can also just imagine a candle if you don't have it. That we light this candle and we just take 1 minute of silence. We'll start that in a moment. But if you have a candle, you can light it, and you can light it for our fellow kin in Palestine and beyond. Today is a big day in our collective field, and I feel it a lot, and some of you might do too. With the news of a ceasefire that I'm sure we all hope will last. And a sense that there is just a lot brewing in the collective field, from joy and hope, a lot of grief, fear even, from what might come and what might truly last. And I have a very strong sense that as mystics, as devotional beings, that spiritual practice is really a practice of widening ourselves to be able to hold more of life and to be able to hold more of our reality, not just our own reality, but our collective reality, because of course the truth of our being is that we are all very much interconnected and that we are all a part of the big, great web of life, and that every ripple that happens in that web all over the world, that we can feel it. And as we sensitize ourselves as spiritual practitioners, as mystics, as devotional beings, as we make ourselves more and more sensitive, we can feel more. And we don't get to choose what we feel, and neither should we, because everything is the divine, everything is sacred, everything is God. And in feeling more, we get everything up more close, and that includes grief, that includes anger, that includes all feelings that we might label as uncomfortable. Um, and I'm really of the understanding that as we deepen our spiritual practice, we're just able to hold more of this. We're just able to hold more of life, and we're able to experience it all as sacred, even if it doesn't always feel good. And yeah, um, I just invite us to just be in silence for a moment, in reverence for our fellow kin, and in reverence for the peace and liberation that I'm sure we all long for, both within and without in our world. So if you haven't already, you can light your candle. You can say a little prayer if that feels natural to you. Um, you can say that inside, or you can say it out loud. And we'll just sit in silence together for a moment. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath into your heart. Let that breath swell up your capacity to embrace life. I love that quote by the late Joanna Macy. She says, "A heart that breaks open can contain the whole universe." A heart that breaks open can contain the whole universe. And there is something in that. There is something in the gold of a broken heart. I find it very alluring how so much of mystic poetry is really speaking from a deep, deep brokenheartedness. So much of mystic poetry is speaking from a deep brokenheartedness. And there is a sense that as we let ourselves sort of be broken open by life, in the sense that when we don't have everything together, and we are not able to control our experience into some boxed, pleasurable, palatable experience, when we let life take us, even when we let life sort of tear us apart in many ways, is when we're often in closeness with, I want to say with God, but don't, for a lot of people that's a very big and triggering word, and I kind of like to use it. I like to use it in the sense of in kind of a, like in more in rebellion to what they have made that word mean. And I like to use it thinking of all the kind of juicy ways in which I experience God in my body. But you can exchange that word with anything else, with reality, if you want to keep it there, or with mystery, or whatever is evocative to you. But there is a sense that when we're really brought to our knees by life, or when we're at the depths even of our so-called suffering, is when we often see an opening and a window and a glimpse into the divinity of our true nature. The mystics would call it a dark night of the soul. And I find that a paradox of living, that the times in my life where I felt the most lost and the most confused have often led me into feeling the most, it's kind of opened up a direct experience with God in a way, or with the sacred, for sure. And yet it's something that I'm constantly in my life conspiring to navigate away from. I'm always trying to outsmart life, trying to break open my heart. I'm always trying to navigate away from the kind of lostness that feels inevitable. I am always trying to control my experience away from the raw, messy expression and the chaotic nature of this human experience. And so in many ways, I think I do spiritual practice as a way to undo that, as a way to undo all the ways in which I'm conspiring against life to just take me as it wants to take me. There is also a sense that for us to get really close to a felt sense of the sacred, there is a real level of slowing down that needs to happen. And I think that slowing down is even working me on this call. I have somewhere here a teacher of mine, Bayo Komalafa, who's a beautiful teacher. He always speaks of this African saying that says, the times are urgent, let us slow down. An African saying, the times are urgent, let us slow down. There is a lot in our work as mystics and devotees of the sacred to get really, really, really slow, which I think is true for intimacy in general. I don't know any act of intimacy that does not require us to slow down. Be it with another human, be it in our romantic relationships, in our friendships, be it with in our intimacy with the sensuous, alive world around us. Of course, our overculture is taking us in the opposite direction. There is this weird zoom. I'm sorry that I'm getting zoomed in and out. I don't mean to. In general, it hasn't been a good technical week for me. Slowness. And then I want to say before we practice, because we will practice more, is that in this human experience, we experience reality through a body. We're given a body to experience the divine. I'm laughing because I'm seeing myself getting zoomed in and out. It's like slow. It's just sometimes wants me a bit further away, sometimes it wants me a bit closer. It's like I'm doing a special effect on as if I have like a little remote control. In this human experience, we're given a body in which to practice intimacy with divinity. Which means in my understanding, any spiritual practice that is not incorporating the body is bypassing that. For me, that is just an idea. Anything that is not directly experienced through the body just becomes an idea of a spiritual experience. But we are given a body, and this body is the instrument through which the divine gets to experience itself. Meaning everything happens through the body. And so I'll take us through a practice and we'll begin in the body. Take a comfortable seat. It doesn't matter if you're sitting on a chair or you're sitting on cushions or if you're standing. But you can begin to breathe your body. And you can begin to slowly move your body wherever you are, in whatever capacity that's available to you. Sitting, standing. Just begin to slowly move your body. Stretch your body. Maybe run your hands over your body. And use your hands to wake up this envelope of consciousness that we call our skin. Just to remember where we are in space and that we have a body. And if you're in a space where you can make sound, as you move your body a little bit, and maybe it'll be helpful, and if somebody is like on the chat, if I put this music up a little bit, can you hear the music and also my voice? And that might help us to experience ourselves. Okay, AJ says yes. Thank you, AJ. That's super helpful. So you're just noodling your body or reaching, stretching, or using your hands to touch. And deepen your breath into your body. It's whatever feels intuitively good, just as a way to remember this delicious instrument that we're given as a sense organ for the divine to experience itself. That is this body. It's a sense organ for the divine to experience itself. And if if you're in a space where you can make sound, I invite you to just make some humming sounds. And in making these humming sounds, you can imagine it's as if you're using the humming to pour some kind of nectar into your heart, and to use that humming to just pour nectar into your heart and to pour honeyed nectar into your body. So every time you exhale, it can just be a sweet humming. And I'm not going to do the humming so that you don't have to listen to my humming, which might come off quite disturbing. And as you do the humming into your body, you can play with different tonalities and pitches, and it can be really sweet and tender, or you can play around whatever feels good. And notice what that humming does to your whole experience. Notice what it does to your nervous system. Humming tones our vagus nerve, and so it can just deepen us into a felt sense of a more attuned kind of presence. And it can be very soothing for our whole system to just send humming through our body. Send a few more hums, maybe even use your hands. Imagine that you're pouring that humming into the root of your heart, and then use your hands to lead that honey from your heart to spread out through the rest of your system, because there could be quite a lot there that is constructed, that feels tight. So as you pour the humming into your heart, use your hands to press down and then guide that honeyed humming through the rest of your system with your hands. You can also be sighing. Maybe you're in a space where you don't want to make a lot of noise if there are others around, or use your hands to brush that humming from this chamber of your heart that you're pouring it into, and guide it out through your whole system. And then you can slowly let that movement and that humming unravel, and find yourself back down to the ground, into your seat, or you can even just stay standing and swaying. So either of those, whatever feels natural, either staying, standing, swaying, or slowly letting yourself melt back down into a seat, or melt down into the ground. And as you unravel yourself into stillness, And as you attune your whole system to stillness once again, which doesn't have to be static in any way, whether you're standing or whether you're sitting, you can be swayed by your breath. But just notice if there is a heightened sense of aliveness. Notice if you can experience more of yourself with the whole of yourself. Notice if by waking up the felt sense of your body, you are able to receive more of this moment. And as you sit or as you stand or as you lie, as long as you're not falling asleep or inducing a kind of sleepy state, you can tune yourself to this skin envelope of consciousness and imagine that you can open every pore of your skin to receive more of this moment. This moment that is very simple, that in many ways is very, very ordinary. And just imagine that you can just open every pore of your skin, every cell of your body to receive more of this very, very ordinary moment. And you don't need to reach out into the room or reach out into the moment. Just let reality pour into you. And that reality that is the vibratory frequencies of sound, whatever soundscape makes up the room that you're in. If your eyes are softly open or closed, there is vibration in the form of light that is entering into you, that is pouring itself into you. And there is a sense that when we allow ourselves to receive reality, there is a quality of it that is inherently, I want to say, juicy. That without needing to deny any part of our experience, when we allow reality to enter into us, it inherently has a quality of being sacred. And every texture that we perceive of reality, whether it's states of immense beauty, awe, curiosity, grief, anger, confusion, we receive reality through our body. There is nothing that happens that is not received through the sense faculties of our body. And see if you can notice that whatever is going on in your experience right now. And there'll be maybe a host of feelings, emotions, sensations that are running through you. See if you can just receive that as just vibration moving through you, and see if you can attune to the texture of that vibration, the tone of it, the quality of it, as inherently sacred, as inherently drenched in aliveness, as inherently drenched in God, in the mystery. That somehow here there is reality that is pouring itself out of nothingness. And that is inherently creative, beyond our stories about it. And wherever you're sitting or standing, although it might be easier to move into this next phase sitting, bring your awareness now to the central channel of you. So you can imagine like the sort of central core of you, like the core of an apple, running from the crown of your head all the way down through the middle of your body, all the way out through your pelvic floor. And just bring your awareness to the center of you, this core cylinder of presence awareness that runs up and down through the center of you, that the yogis called Sushumna Nadi. But just bring your awareness to this holy center of you. And you can also, you could use touch if that helps you to just get into. You could place your hands on the end points. You don't have to do that. If you're really already in your central channel, you can just stay there. If you need touch, you can place one hand on the crown of your head and the other hand on your pelvic floor. So that means in the space in between your anus and your pubic bone. Some of us, we have an actual opening here. So that makes it very easy to get a felt sense of the two gateways of our central channel, and just send your breath up and down the center of you. And as you send your breath up and down the center of you, enlivening the central channel of you, you can also imagine that your breath is just calling in particle bits of you that has just been scattered and left out in outer space or in previous places in your day or with people. You could just call back. By breathing your central channel up and down, you get to call back the little particle bits of you that you've left around, or even the particle bits of you that you've tried to exile. And your breath gets to just call everything home. It gets to call everything home into yourself. You can even make a pulse in the diaphragm of your pelvic floor. you can pulse that up and down to just even ignite even more energy into the central channel, just to wake up the eros of our aliveness, which eros is our life force, is our capacity to practice intimacy with ourselves and with the web of life and with reality. And so that also helps. You can just kind of pulse the diaphragm of your pelvic floor. For some of us, that will be the kind of almost sense of like if you're holding a pea or something. And by pulsing there, you can imagine that that pulsing is also just sending energy up through the center of you, and then that energy gets to flow all the way up and down. So it goes in both directions. And the final phase of this practice is to use our breath now to imagine that we're widening and concentrating our central channel. So as you inhale, you widen this central cylinder of you in all directions, just a little bit. And as you exhale, imagine that you're concentrating all that power, condensing it back in towards its center. So the inhale is widening circumferentially, and exhale gets to zoom and condense into your center. And you can just breathe that way. And you get to choose how wide you want to make the center of you. We really experience life through this central channel. All the biggest experience of this human experience all happens through our central channel. Through our felt sense of the heart and connecting, and through gut feelings, through our sexual experiences, everything happens through the center of us. And so when we can widen the center of us, we get to make ourselves more available for life to pour into us. But depending on where you're at in this moment, you don't need to make it super wide. You get to titrate that yourself. Every inhale is widening yourself somewhat. And every exhale is condensing that power into the central channel of you. And maybe it's building, maybe every breath it gets wider and wider and wider. Maybe some of you have a sense of widening your central channel, which is really the cylinder of your awareness, of widening that beyond the boundaries of your physical body. Maybe you're widening that beyond the boundaries of your physical body. Maybe not. Maybe you're staying very close to your center. I love the phrase of a mystic called Hadovich, a long gone by Christian mystic, who spoke of the divine as it undoes me wider than wide. It undoes me wider than wide. Now you can let that visualization, that imagination, you can let that go for a moment. Or you can let it go entirely. And just stay resting in the wake of that practice. Just stay resting in stillness. Stay resting in the wideness of your being, in your capacity to let life in and through you. In my understanding, this is the path of the mystic, to make ourselves a wide channel for life to move through, for the current of divinity to move through us, to move us. There is a sutra from the tantric text, the Pratyabhidna Hridayam, that says, the joy of awareness is discovered through the expansion of the center. Which is to say, because they worshipped awareness as God, which is to say, God is discovered through the expansion of the center. So I'm curious about the practice of widening the center of us to receive God, to receive life, to receive reality in each and every moment. And as some of you have kind of come out from that space, if you haven't, you can now just kind of let your eyes sort of flutter, but keep a really blurry gaze. And just let the vibration of light and colors, let it just pour into you as if it's just pouring into your central channel. See if you can receive this room without reaching out to the room. See if again you can just receive the room through the center of you. And see if by receiving the vibration, the colors, the sounds of this room, you can let that vibration enliven you. And as you've started to receive just the general colors of the room, you can even turn your gaze to the flame that you lit earlier and see if there is tuning into the flame. See if there is more capacity to receive the flame that is this expression of divinity, this flame that is somehow igniting itself out of nothingness. And as you let your eyes just meet the flame, see, you can kind of test it out. What is your ability, capacity to practice intimacy with this flame? What is your capacity to receive the mystery of this flame with the sensitivity of your body? Just in a way that when we truly experience like a sight of beauty, when we truly experience the sunrise or sunset, we really let it pour into our body and we let it expand us, enliven us, excite us. See if you can receive the flame with a new sense of sensitivity. And let the flame, in a way, let it pour through you as a kind of cleansing force, as almost a, let yourself be washed by the flame, let yourself be baptized by the flame. And to close that practice, maybe I'll read a poem. Let me see what I will read. The book that I picked up today, which is actually the book that I picked up. I'm not living at my house at the moment, so it's the only book, one or two books, poetry books, mystic poetry books that I have with me. Rilke's Book of Hours. And Rilke started writing Book of Hours when he was 23. So it's really kind of a divine revelation. He writes, "Why am I reaching again for the brushes? When I paint your portrait, God, nothing happens. But I can choose to feel you. At my senses' horizon, you appear hesitantly, like scattered islands. Yet standing here, peering out, I'm all the time seen by you. All creation holds its breath, listening within me. Because to hear you, I keep silent." I'll read that last line again. All creation holds its breath, listening within me, because to hear you, I keep silent. I'll read one more. The hour is striking so close above me, so clear and sharp that all my senses ring with it. I feel it now. There is a power in me to grasp and give shape to my world. I know that nothing has ever been real without my beholding it. All becoming has needed me. My looking ripens things, and they come toward me to meet and be met. And I love how he writes, my looking ripens things. There is a real sense in the mystics that our relationship with the divine, with the sacred, with God, is a real relationship of lovership. That it is something that is intimate, which is why many Sufi mystics write about the beloved. That it's a lovership. It's filled with eros, and there's a sense that my looking ripens things. That there is a play of reciprocity. There is a falling in love with reality. And that when we look, there's a meeting and there's a being met. I wonder if you've ever had that sense, if you ever kind of allow, let's say, nature, like let's say you go to hug a tree or touch a tree, or even if you look at the sunset or the sunrise, do you ever have this sense where you can allow yourself to be met? Like you're reaching out to the tree, or you're beholding the sunset, but you're actually allowing it to come back, to pour back into you. And in that, there's There is a lovership. There is a sense of courtship with divinity, with the sacred. There is also a sense in the mystics that there is this aching longing that we carry as humans, or in this paradox of somehow being one with the beloved and one with divinity, but also being so separate and feeling so distanced from divinity. It's somehow um, in us and available in every moment, and then somehow feels miles and miles and miles apart. And that longing is also something um, to cultivate as something that guides us back into belonging. Wherever we feel a longing, the mystics would always say that all longing is longing for divinity, all wanting, all desire is a desire for union. Ultimately, if you really track it, which is a practice that we can do another time and that I'm sure we will do if any of you will join the whole journey together. Um, but I'm curious, maybe if you have your pen and paper, I'm curious in this realm of longing and living a life of prayerfulness, living a life of devotion, which you could say devotion is just a reverence for belonging to something greater than ourselves. If you have pen and paper, maybe quickly jot down, what are you devoted to? What are you devoted to? What are you devoted to? Whatever comes up spontaneously in the moment. And you don't, it's not going to be shared, and you don't need to filter out whatever comes up. What are you devoted to? And then the follow-up question to that is, how much are you living in alignment with what you are devoted to? How often in your day, in your week, in your life, do you remember to orient in the direction of what you are devoted to? How much are you living in alignment to what you are devoted to? How often do you remember? I'm so curious about this forgetting. I'm so curious about this forgetting and how it takes so much practice to remember, even to orient to my own deepest longing. This is my deepest, deepest longing, to just be drenched in the sacred all the time, every day, every minute. And all I do is forget. All I do is forget. which is the main reason I've created this course to recommit my vows with the sacred, because it's been so hard in my life, especially in the last 2 years, to remember what I am in deepest devotion to. What what is the most important thing is my lovership with divinity, my lovership with the sacred. And it's been so hard to be in that relationship suddenly. Do you ever have with a partner, with a romantic partner, and you feel really like, "Urgh," everything is like tight and gnarly, and and you just push that romantic partner away, and all you want is for your partner to come and just hug you and squeeze you and just be like, I got you. But then all you actually do is like push away and that is I often have that relationship with the sacred. Like all I want to do is be held and give myself to that lovership, to that embrace, to that holding. By the way, I'm finishing because we had technical issues in the beginning, or I had technical issues. I'm going a little bit over time here. If you need to go, you go and do your thing. I'm just making. We will finish very soon, but I'm just going a little bit over time. So I find that very interesting that all I want to do is be united with the beloved, which I experience inside me. And yet I forget all the time. And yet I also do so much to push the beloved away, to push away intimacy, to push away closeness. And so that's why I have to practice. That's why I have to practice. We will begin a 40-day journey, this holy life, on October 19th. Uh, it will be 10 sessions over 40 days, and uh, it will be a practice, a committed daily sadhana. And we will craft that daily sadhana in the course or in the journey. It's not a course, it's like a journey, immersion. There'll be a committed daily sadhana. There'll be meditations and bonus material to download. And I will have 10 live sessions that we meet for 75 minutes, an hour and a half, sometime around that. The chapters of that journey, the chapters, as I've laid them out now, although I might make some final changes, but those chapters will be an opening ceremony of devotion. It will go through grief tending and working with emotions to deepen spiritual practice. There'll be a grief ritual because, of course, we're just so, a culture that is very death illiterate is also very grief illiterate, and it's shutting us, it's cutting us off from life. The body is the doorway, eros and initiating a lovership with life, courting creativity and evoking the source spring, stewarding the life temple, animism and ordinary mysticism. There'll be a chapter on holy rebellion and making everything an offering, and I think I'll have my friend Ebion Zanini give that session. There'll be a chapter receiving oracular guidance, dream work, ancestors and plant allies, and finally a closing ceremony. And then with support throughout. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Sorry, I'm just catching up in the chat. I'll send out, if anyone feels inspired to join this whole immersion, I will send out with the recording of this session, with the replay, I'll send out a discount code that will be valid for 48 hours, as long as this recording and replay will be up, and you'll receive that to your email. And I will open up. Also, I will give you, who are here live, I'll give you a link. I'm gonna upload an email. I'm not gonna upload an email. You're gonna get sent the other things in your email. I'm gonna upload a recorded meditation in this Dropbox folder, probably tomorrow. So I'll put the link in the chat. Copy that link, and there'll be a meditation for you there of not quite the same, but of a similar nature as a piece of what we did today. And you'll be able to download it and keep it if you wanted. So you can just copy the link in the chat. And I'll open the floor now for anyone who have comments about their experience. If anyone needs to leave, you're so welcome to leave. When I close this call, the group field that held us will also release you from that togetherness. But if anyone wants to share anything about anything that came up, or if you have questions or just comments on your experience, you're so welcome to unmute yourself and share. It feels, when I haven't kind of invited us in, it feels a bit raw to suddenly unmute yourself and speak. So I just want to say I recognize that, and if you do want to share, you're so welcome. And we're a cute, intimate group, probably mainly because I send a lot of confusing time instructions. But because of that, we're a small, cute group. So please, you're so welcome to unmute yourself and share anything that is on your heart.
There's always the worry that you're going to clash with someone. So I was like, okay, I've got to go. Thank you, Ricky. I joined late. I joined an hour in, so I caught the end, but I will rewatch it and move with you. But thank you. That was gorgeous anyway to listen to. And yeah, I just want to say thank you, and that I really love the just yeah, everything I've practiced with you in person, but it's just the kind of ceremony I feel like in your presence, just with whatever you share, is really inspiring. I also wanted to ask, I'm on a course the day that so I wouldn't be able to come to the first one. Would that matter if I can't make like the opening? Yeah. No. Okay. I can just see your head shaking.
Yeah, everything will be recorded.
Okay.
So, some people will tune in maybe just 100% on recording.
Mm. True. Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What? Go on then. What to do? You wanted to say something. What? We were talking about devotion. What you're devoted to. What does that mean? Remember I told you what you feel in your heart. Mm, mm, I feel in my heart. Well, love. That's lovely. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to be devoted to. Ah, softens me. Yeah, thank you also for the softening. I had like a quite a tough day, and just, yeah, thank you, Ricky. Just so with you in everything you're sharing as well. And the need for this dedicated practice and there was a love devotion to everything you said, basically. There's love hearts. They're sending them to you, I think, about your love. It's nice. That's really received. Thank you. I can see the receiving. Yeah. Where is it? Is there any more? Oh, oh, I think they're all gone. All used up. But thank you. Thank you so much. Just everything you say is just, yeah, just nectar for the soul. And I'm just with you in that journey already.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Please interrupt me if you were like, Bob, I was just about to unmute myself. And otherwise, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry I sent so many mixed time instructions. But thank you if you made it here. And yeah, I appreciate all of you who made yourself felt in the live and via the recording. It should be like 50 people in the recording and 10 people live. But yeah, appreciate all of you and take care of your hearts. And that's it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sitting in the messiness of it all with me. Truly, the messiness with so many bubbles to the start. Thank you. Goodbye, friends. Yeah, thank you, Rola.